Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to PBTV. I'm Stu, and we're live on Facebook and YouTube. So, I've brought a Specna Arms out today. We've had a few more messages asking about very specifically CQB starter platforms. So the C12 is a sort of perfect candidate for that because it's got the original version and the XASR version. So we'll have a look at that, and I've thrown some new bits on there just so you can see how this thing tricks out. We've got a new mount, we've got a pec box, and we've got the Centurion from Vector Optics. As always, if you've got any questions at all, drop them down below. We'll flash them up on screen and try and get all your questions answered as quickly as possible. So, as always, with it being a standard AEG, it does have a 14mm counterclockwise thread on the front of it. So all your accessories, your trace units, your XT301s, your Spitfires, anything like that will perfectly fit on the front of this. Apart from that, you have a normal burr cage. Just be aware that I do believe this has a grub screw in it, so make sure that is undone before you take that off, or you're going to damage your threads, and then it will be rendered very difficult to put back on or put any of your accessories on there as well. Coming back, we do have a very short... it's about 7-inch key mod rail. Obviously, it doesn't look like key mod because it currently has the little rail sections on it. So, out the box, it has 3 5-inch rail sections on there. So, there's one on the right-hand side, one on the bottom, and it does normally have one on the left, but I've taken that off to mount the new offset mount that we've got that is M-LOK and key mod, but I'll come on to that shortly. So again, with key mod, you can directly fit key mod parts to the system, so on the right, left, or bottom. If you don't have any key mod, it's quite convenient that it comes with the RIS sections. Again, if you want to take these off, all that does is make the rail more streamlined. It thins it down a little bit, makes it easier to grip and hold without having the RIS there, and it just allows you to put the accessories exactly where you need them, rather than just having rail that is unused. Again, these just simply screw off with key mod, loosen the 2 Allen keys, slide it back, and then it'll drop off. And again, that goes for all 3 sides. If you wanted to flip them around or do whatever you want, that is totally fine as well. Coming to the top, we do have spring-loaded iron sights. So these are with the platform, so it's just a simple button press, they flip up. Same with the back. You have a pin front sight, and we have an Aperture rear sight. Works in twofold, and I've left these on because with a dot sight you can co-witness, so you could flip these up, 0 with your dot sight, and then you can co-witness. So what that means is your iron sights and the dot all line up. So for whatever reason your battery runs out, there's a problem with your red dot or anything like that, you can simply flip it up, and you know for a fact that your iron sights are Z0 to the platform as well. And then it's called shooting through the tube. So you have an aperture, a pin, and then this almost acts like a secondary aperture to keep a nice, clean, more accurate downrange shot. I've included the pec box just to show how it fits. It is a one of the new ones that we've got. It is really cool. You can stick the included pressure pad on here if you wanted. You could get a dual one in the future and mount it to the torch as well. So coming back here, the C12 is a polymer body. Makes it very lightweight, so this thing is coming in at about 2.3-ish kilos. It is very well balanced, I will say that. Even with all the stuff that I've got on it, there's not too much weight on the rail because the rail is aluminium. The receiver is polymer, so all the weight is actually in the gearbox and the actual PDW stock, because there's a lot of metal work in there as well. Adam on Facebook, what battery would it take? So I'd put a 7.4 in this purely because of the UK power limits, with it being under 350 FPS. So this thing comes in at about 310 out the box, and that's probably both variants, the original and the ASR. Your sort of crux that you have to do with this is you're going to have quite a small milliamp battery in this, because you are running a PDW stock. So you do have a decent amount of space in there, but I'd stick to maybe an 800 milliamp. You might find 1000 milliamp. We do have recommended batteries attached to these, so you can find the exact ones that you need, but I would stick to a 7.4 just to stop any form of pre-engagement, damaging the piston or anything like that. You don't want any you don't want your piston going forward slower than your gears can come around. Again, this just simply screws off, and then you can stick a battery in there and screw it back on, and then you've got a decent amount of battery space. You're just going to need a couple of batteries rather than having one 1450 or something like that. If you have 2 800 milliamp batteries, you've got more staying power than the 1450. It just means you're going to have to change your battery at some point, and with it being in the stock tube, it's very easy to get to. There's no removing accessories, there's no having to take a rail off, it's not a pec box mounted one. It is still very, very easy to get to. You're just going to need more than one battery. It's very, very simple. Coming down to the magazine and the controls. So the magazine release is on the right hand side. It is right-handed dominant, so it is. There's not many, if any, ambidextrous controls on it. So the mag release is on the right hand side. Hitting this will release the 300 round high cap. So it is one of the Specna Arms specific ones. They are available separately as well. If you like the style of these, you can get them. Just so if you want mags that match, I know a lot of people do. Opening the door at the top, you simply pour BBs in there, close the door, and then there is a wheel on the bottom. Winding that takes BBs out of the chamber, up the feed tube, and to the top. Again, if you're pulling the trigger on this and you're not getting any BBs out the end, just make sure you give a couple of winds on that. It will prime a few more BBs up the chamber, and you'll get more shots out of it. Please be aware that if you are using this and you turn it upside down to wind it, it won't prime properly and you won't get as many shots out of the magazine. Again, high caps are totally fine, especially if you're starting out with a CQB platform. You're not having to budget for a load of mid caps or anything like that. It gives you 300 rounds in a single mag and you just run around all day then, rather than having to get loads of mid caps. Don't get me wrong, changing mags is a lot of fun. It's part of the game. It adds that risk factor. You maybe round counting or something like that adds a little bit more feel and immersion to the game. But again, if you're just trying to get into the sport, high caps are absolutely awesome, and you can get the wind ones or you can get flash mags. Either are perfectly fine. Vulture Airsoft on YouTube. Is this good for indoor? Absolutely, and that's why I've brought it out. It is a super short platform. I know a lot of people say running sort of folding stocks or anything like that, they like to fold them when they're in CQB. Again, this is so collapsible. I think when it is collapsed as it is, it's about 50 centimeters, 57 centimeters long without the torch jutting out the front end. So it is an exceptionally small platform, and again, it does then stretch out to about 65 centimeters. So if you do have the gangly arms like myself, you can shoulder this quite comfortably. And again, with it being the Specna Arms, the reliability of it, even the core standard instead of the XASR, it is going to perform outside. With it being about 310 FPS, you've got the 300 rounds, you've got the high cap, it has got a tight bore in it as well for what is essentially a starter platform. A 6.03 in a quite stubby platform is going to be exceptionally accurate. A couple of double taps indoors and you're going to have a ton of fun with this thing. Carl Robertson on YouTube. Are the springs quick change, and what spring do you get out the box? So yes, they do have one of. There's a couple of different types of quick change spring that Specna Arms do. There is the true quick change, or is the enter and convert system. So one of them means you don't have to split the gearbox, but you do have to take the gearbox out. And there is one that is a true quick change that you can actually access it from the back. I do believe that this is a true quick change, so you can swap it. Out the box, you're getting about 310 FPS out of these. Again, it is a tight bore and a short barrel, so it probably is quite a potent spring in there, maybe a 90 or a 100. But again, for CQB, 310 is perfectly fine. With a short barrel, it's totally fine. There's no point chasing that 340, 350 with this, purely because it is a short barrel. You're not wanting to risk any internal damage with a beginner platform. I'd just stick to with as it is. You're not going to benefit massively from that extra 20, 30 FPS to the risk of damage that you're going to do running the 350 or the 340, 350 in this thing. Again, you do have the option of the standard core system, which is just a version 3 gearbox running as it is, or you do have the XASR version. So the MOSFET and the XASR is in the stock tube, in the PDW stock. So you do lose a very tiny bit of battery space, but again, it does sit to the side, so you can drop it in and it doesn't really cause any dramas at all. Once you see it, it is very self-explanatory. You just slide it down the side. It gives you a load of sort of benefits for battery protection, trigger protection, power delivery and everything like that. So it's not going to change your rate of fire, it's not going to change your FPS or anything like that. It is protecting the systems inside, it's protecting the electronics, it's protecting your battery, prevents burnout and everything like that, and you're getting a more consistent power delivery. So each shot after each other are the same. Jack Wood on YouTube. Does it come in multiple colour variants and is two-tone available? Yes, two-tone is available on absolutely every platform that we do. So just hit the drop-down menu, pick which colour you want. You can have blue, red or green two-tone. I've brought the dual-tone tan and black version out. There is a full black version as well. So any part on here that is tan, so the rail, the mag and the PDW stock is in black. The rail sections are black on all both different versions, and there is a full M4 stock version as well, but I think that's called the C07. It's not a C12, it's a different suffix number. So a couple of the accessories that I've included on here just to show them off because it's Friday and we like new stuff on Fridays. The Vector Optics Centurion, it's a very almost, I'd say basic red dot sight, but how this is different to say a T1 or a T2 or anything like that is it has that wider front aperture and it has a protective, a semi-protective screen on there. So what this means is this allows a more light collection, so even light coming in at an angle with a wider aperture or a wider subjective lens, you're going to get a much clearer view and you're going to get a clearer picture. Some red dot sights, they are quite narrow. Restricted view, you lose a little bit of periphery vision if someone's kind of creeping on the left or right hand side. This helps against that a little bit, and it does have two panes of glass. There is a flat pane and then the actual dot system is angled back, meaning it's got a bit more protection behind it. Your zeroing is on open dials, so you've got one there and one there. These are done probably a 2p or a 1p. A penny will be able to do that. If not, get yourself a little flathead screwdriver and you'll be able to adjust it. So you've got elevation and windage, and then you have two buttons on the side that are your illumination power levels. The other cap on the top is where you put your 2032 battery, so it's one of the little watch penny style batteries. You just drop them in there and go for it. Again, I'm very guilty of this. It's something I need to work out with my admin, is just be careful about leaving optics turned on. A lot of these Vector Optics don't have an auto off function. There's many times where I've got mine out of the box, gone to turn it on, and I've left it on since my last game day and it's dead. Again, that's why the backup iron sight's really good. For my own personal terrible admin, my battery's died, I can just flip my iron sights up and I've still got capability and I can still run around and have a bit of fun with it. Again, the other one is just keep some spare batteries. So the PEC box that we've got here, it's becoming a bit of an essential for me on platforms as a PEC box over a standalone torch, purely because the torches that are coming on these PEC boxes now are incredibly bright in such a compact platform, and then you are getting red laser, and in some cases like this and the New Pro one, you are getting an IR laser on there as well. So someone getting into, say, night vision or anything like that, you're wanting an entry-level IR laser that can be quite hard to get hold of. This is a very good option. And again, you do have a pressure pad system on here, so you just simply plug that in. You can attach it or stick it into one of the gaps. So where this rail section is here, the pressure pad would actually sit naturally in that gap there. You can throw an elastic band around it and it holds it on really well. The pressure pad will then let you activate it whenever you want, or you can double press it and it'll turn back on, or you have the button on the top that you can do it, and then the dial there is how you change between the settings. So you can have torch on its own, laser on its own, IR laser on its own, or torch and laser at the same time. Again, lasers have a sort of to and fro in CQB, because if you are firing lasers everywhere, you are giving yourself away, but it does mean that you can rapid react when you're coming around corners and get a couple of shots off and know exactly where they're going. The laser is zeroable as well. Reaper, has it got an electronic trigger? No, so it is a standard version 2 gearbox, so you do have standard trigger contacts in here, but if you do get the XASR version, that has the MOSFET in there to deliver the right amount of power, so you remove arcing. So with 2 bits of metal, keep touching, eventually they're going to spark every time they touch, and you're going to get a bit of corrosion, a bit of arcing. It happens in every airsoft gun that has a standard trigger system in there. The XASR is helping to prevent that slightly, so it's just an option that you've got to think of. The new mount that we've got is a new offset style mounting system. So it does work on M-LOK and key mod, so I'll spin it that way so you can see it. And the reason why I think these are very cool, and I've wanted them for a long time, is the way that it turns it turns this, what is essentially a 7-inch rail, into what is potentially a 9 or 10-inch rail for real estate purposes if you're wanting something extra. It also gives you a position where the torch is then not interfering where your grip might be, and you can still activate it with your thumb. So what it does, it mounts onto the key mod via 2 little screws. turns it at 45 degrees, and then juts forward. And any of the standard sort of Nuprol NX sort of 300 torches, the long or the short one, will go on here perfectly fine. All the screws are included. You don't need any extra, and it will fit any of these ones on. There are two little spaces, so if you are not wanting to run the torch and you take the screws out, there are two little holes in either side that you can put them screws in. It's just tiny screws, they're going to go missing, so if you leave them in there, it is very, very useful. One of the main reasons people ask, why do you jut the torch out so far? If you have something on the front of this, say you had an X301 or a Blast or anything like that came out to here or here, and your torch was back here, when you activate that torch, you are going to cast a shadow onto the right-hand side. If I was pointing this down, you would basically, the light would not hit any of the right-hand side of where people could be creeping in or anything like that, hiding in the shadows. Wherever white light is, the shadows become deeper, darker, and harder to see through, and you're causing shadows by your own accessories. If you can jettison the torch out and be in the same plane as or further forward than whatever you've got on the front of here, it eliminates that completely, and you're getting a full splash of torch. It's a very simple design, but it is exceptionally useful, and the fact that this one does keymod and M-lock in one, it means you can swap it around as you see fit. I think they're absolutely incredible, and I hope to see a lot of people get hold of them. So if there's any other questions on the C12 or anything that we've got here, by all means, drop them down below. 5 productions. Is it Deans or Tamiya? These ones are wired to mini Tamiya. I believe the XASR version might be Deans, but I will have to confirm that. Any attribute sets or any details like that, the attributes on the website underneath the item, everything like that is labelled, and we try to keep up to date as possible, because obviously Specna Arms do like to change things every now and again. So the core turning into the XASR, turning into a Titan version or anything like that, depending on the MOSFET that's in there, depends on the connector. The absolute super basic core version will be Tamiya. There is a chance that the XASR or anything that has a MOSFET has Deans. Most of the time, if a Specna Arms has a Deans connector in here, they will put an adapter inside the box. It's just convenience. It's very, very good that they do that, but they're very easy to get hold of. It means that you don't have to replace all your batteries, or if you're waiting to replace your batteries, you can just use that for the time being. Paul Eastwood, another regular. Does it come in all black as well? Yes. I just got this one out because I thought the dual tone looked quite good with all the accessories, the torch and everything like that. But anything that you see on here that is in tan, so the rail, the magazine and the stock, the all black one, they are obviously all black, but obviously the rails are black on both, but you can get an all black version as well. And again, that goes for the C07, which is the full M4 stock version. That is an all black and a dual tone as well. Adam, is there a battery extension tube? I'm unsure at the moment. I believe that there will be. If there is, we will try and link it onto the item on the website. I know there's a lot of battery extensions coming out onto the into Airsoft at the moment. The Vector Optics one, PDR one, loads of them. So normally, if there is a battery extender available for a certain product, we will try and attach it to that when you're looking at it. So we will endeavour to make sure that happens on these, because I know some people, they're a bit dubious about having PDW stocks because they think they're not going to get as big a battery in there. Again, I normally run a 1450 battery. It runs for X amount of time. If I then got 2 800 milliamp batteries, I've got more battery power. It just means I have to change my battery once. It's not an over inconvenience. You just need to add it to your admin during the day. Doesn't mean you have to charge an extra battery, but if you're wanting something that looks this cool, it's definitely a sort of sacrifice that you're willing to make, really. A couple of the bits that I've not mentioned yet is, obviously, with it being the Specna Arms, it does have the very, very good and effective rotary style hop in there. So once these things are set, they are set like stone. They're really, really good. I much prefer them to the gear style, because once they are set, normally with the gear ones or the slidey ones, every time a BB goes through, there is a chance it could adjust slightly. The rotary ones fix in place really, really well, and you're going to get much more consistent hop between shots. But I'll cover a few things again, but if there are any final questions, by all means drop them. If it's anything about the accessories or absolutely anything, drop them here. This is very pretty. I have an E25 Edge, very consistent. Does this also have a quick change spring? Again, it depends. between the models. There's that many Specna Arms models. I wouldn't want to say exactly what it has without confirming. But it either will have a enter and convert system or a true quick change. The enter and convert, you do have to take the gearbox out and swap it. The true quick change, you can get it through the back, but most of them do have it. It's only the super basic entry level ones that don't. And again, these things coming out at 310 FPS or around that, there is no point changing them. Trying to chase that 350 is only going to put weak links in the chain, and you're going to have to do more down the line. My sort of go to 310 to 320, maybe 330, depending if I'm wanting to go up to maybe 2.8s or something like that. It's a perfectly fine FPS. You're going to have plenty of fun with it, and it's going to be fine. The advantage of having that extra 20 FPS going to try and 340, 350, it's going to, in the long term, be detrimental to the platform, cause more wear and tear, and everything like that. But I prefer to sit at that 330. I've had more positive experience with it over the time that I've been playing. So, if there's no final questions, this has been the SA-C12. So there is a standard core version, or there is an XASR version. Visually, absolutely identical. It is just a MOSFET in the stock. But if that's everything today, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I love it when all the questions come in. It makes my life much easier, and I love talking to people. Seeing all the regulars come back, it means that we like to think that we're doing something right. But if that's everything, I hope you can get out and enjoy your weekend. If you're going to a site, by all means, tag us in any pictures or anything you get, and we'll share them on Instagram. But if that's everything, I'll see you again on Monday about 4 PM for another live stream. But until then, I'll see you in a bit.